What's up guys, welcome to a new video. So today we're going to be installing the gear indicator on my 2022 KLX300 Supermoto. Let's get started. Alright, so let's get started. So I ran my gear indicator from the front. Obviously, you run it down through here and you end up in the headlight assembly, just above the headlight assembly, and you're going to have a connector like so right here. And this is what you're going to tap into because this runs off the speedo sensor, which is found down near the front wheel. So without tapping into that, you're not going to have a gear indicator that works. And then, so here's the confusing part. So most people have gotten to this point where they've hooked up this and they basically think that, okay, now it should be working, but it doesn't. And here's the reason why. Because you have one wire that comes off of this connector right here, and it's going to come, and it's going to be a green and a black wire. And they don't tell you in the instructions where it goes, what it connects to, or anything. So I had to kind of play myself. It took me, I don't know, a couple hours to figure out which wire it taps into. So what I did is I took that wire and I ran it down through here. I ran it down behind here and I kind of made it go along with these wires right here. I ran it down behind the frame, down through here, and then you're gonna come out here where the ECU is, okay? So let me get that in focus. All right, so now you're down by the ECU, okay? You've taken the left side panel off and you're down by the ECU and you have that. Here's your green and black wire that I was just talking about. So here's your green and black wire, and just above the ECU you have this three-way connector that has a green wire, a white and yellow wire, and then a green and white wire. So that green and white wire is the wire that you have to tap into from the gear indicator wire, which is this green and black wire right here, okay? So once you've done that, you've used their connector, and all you're doing is basically splicing those two together so where they're tapping into each other. So you clamp this onto the green and white wire, and then you clamp the top onto the green and black wire, like so. Hopefully that's in pretty decent focus. You guys can see what I'm talking about. So I've had so many people on forums and on Instagram hitting me up, asking me how to do this. And I wanted to make a video on it for a while now, I just haven't had the time. So this is the first step of getting your gear indicator installed. Now you're gonna have to set up the bike, okay? So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to put your panels back on. Once you have figured out that you turn the key on and boom, it's working, right? Okay, so now you know it's working, it's hooked up correctly. So now you gotta put your panels back on, and then we're gonna go out for a ride and I'm gonna show you how to program this. All right guys, so now we're gonna set up the gear indicator while riding the bike because the speedo sensor runs off the front wheel, so you have to be riding the bike to set it up. Other bikes that are run off the sprocket or say, you can put them up on a rear stand and set that up, but on this bike you need to be riding it to actually set it up because the front wheel has to be spinning. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the key over. Don't turn the bike on. Turn the key over and you'll see it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold the top for a couple seconds and it's going to start blinking C. Tap it again, L, F, B, H, E, U, and D. Okay, so once it hits D, we're gonna go ahead and hold it down for a couple seconds. All right, so now it's in L, which is learning mode. So you go from D, long hold on D, and then it starts blinking L for learning mode. So now we're gonna start the bike up. All right, it's gonna tell me when to put it into first gear. So you can see it blinking L right now. All right, 1. So we're in first gear, we're taking off. All right, until it says 2. 2. Now we're going to shift into second gear. 3, third gear. All right, so it's learning first, second, third now. Fourth gear, shift it up into fourth. It's learning fourth. Fifth gear, shift it up into fifth. Let it learn fifth. And sixth gear, there we are. So now it's learned first through sixth. So this bike is a 6-speed, unlike the DRZ. All right, so now it's learned everything. So now it should be, now it's in 6. Obviously I was still in 6, so if I downshift, it should say 5. All right, 5. So 4, 3, and I'm going a little too fast for a second, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. So second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. All right, so that's basically how simple it is. So when you turn the key on, you hold down the top for like 5 seconds or so, and it'll start blinking different codes, and you want to tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it until you get to the letter D. So I think D, if I'm not mistaken, D means a hard reset, which is what I have to do basically because this bike has already been set up. Whoa, little suicidal squirrel. All right, so once you do that, so basically it'll work for you even if you haven't already set it up. So go to D, long hold on D, and then it's going to start blinking and blinking and blinking, and then it's going to go and start blinking L, which means learning mode. So once you get into the learning mode, it's going to tell you which gear to put it into. So it'll let it do its little process for a couple seconds, and then it'll start blinking 1 for first gear. So you're going to pop it into first gear. You're going to ride it, keep it in first gear until it learns that first gear. So it's learning the speed and the RPMs that the bike is maintaining for that gear. So once it learns that, it'll start blinking 2. You shift it into second, same thing, same process. You just completely continue to do the same process over and over until it gets to 6th gear. Once it gets to 6th gear, the bike has learned all the gears and you are all set. Alright, so the one other thing I wanted to mention to you guys, that since it runs off the front wheel speed, you have to, if you do a wheelie or something like in 2nd or 3rd gear, it's going to think that the bike is in 1st gear while you're doing the wheelie because the wheel's spinning so slowly. Once you put it back down, it'll realize what gear it's back in. So I'll show you, for example, I'm in 2nd gear right now. I'm going to pop a wheelie. So you can see it's saying 1st gear. Once I put it back down, obviously I shifted into 3rd, but it'll recognize what gear it's actually in once you put it back down. Just a little note that if you do wheelies on your KLX300 or 250, whatever you have, that once you put it back down, it's not that you did anything wrong, it's just because it's running off the front wheel speed that it has to basically recognize that the speed of the front wheel while you're doing the wheelie is going so slow that it thinks it's in 1st gear. As soon as you put it back down, it'll realize exactly what gear it's in. So hopefully this helps you guys. I know so many people have asked me about this gear indicator on this bike, and honestly it's like probably my favorite mod I've done to the bike besides the exhaust, for obvious reasons. But alright guys, peace, ride safe, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.